Is Ten Hag ball sustainable? That question amongst many others will be answered in this video. Hello guys and welcome back to Abs Talks Ball. Before we even get into it, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. And without further ado, we are going to get into our reaction of Manchester United's win at home to Brentford. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, the lineup. We were all surprised by what was going on, what we were seeing in front of us. There were reports that Johnny Evans was going to be playing left back. Then there were reports that De Ligt might be a right back. There were so many different thoughts as to how that back line would actually work altogether. But in reality, it turned out being Lisandro Martinez playing left back with De Ligt and Johnny Evans and Dalot as the right fullback. And in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game, saw a lot of different positional rotation. At times we saw Højlund and Rashford as a front two, with Eriksen out wide right, Casemiro, Bruno in a pivot, and Garnacho on the left hand side. Then there were many different kind of moves where it was mainly Rashford on the right hand side, Garnacho on the left, Bruno, Højlund, Eriksen, and Casemiro. Let's talk about that first half. Because the first thoughts I got from that first half is this is not sustainable. Why did I think that? Because United have been having games of two halves throughout the whole season. And what happens usually when there's a game of two halves is that there's a confusion in the style of play. Either there is an intensity in the first half and a drop-off physically in the second half, or there is seemingly a lack of a plan in the first half, and then they are given information in the halftime team talk, then there's a lot better performance in the second half. But what it all indicates and what it points to is that there is clearly not a sustainability or clear communication between management and the players. In that first half, United seemed to be like inept of any understanding of how to keep the ball. The ball kept getting long. There wasn't a plan, it seemed, on the ball. The only flashes of good moments is when I saw Rashford in central areas, who was one of the better performers of the whole day. Garnacho tried, huffed and puffed in that first half, but he just is limited as a winger. And same way that Arsenal fans might look at Martinelli in these last couple of seasons now, where it's like it is showing how limited he is. Even if Garnacho did get the goal at the end, I still am worried about his clear limits as a player. And as of right now, with the performances that Rashford has been giving us this season, he should be given that chance on the left-hand side over Garnacho, in my opinion. Garnacho shouldn't be starting for Manchester United as we speak right now. Another thing about the lineup, Amad Diallo doesn't get a start again. It doesn't make any sense to me that our best winger with the most amount of footballing IQ in our front line and the most amount of technical ability in our front line still struggles to get minutes. Brentford scored the first goal. They drew first blood, and it was one of my pet peeves that I mentioned on my previous STS appearance, which is it was referring to when Chelsea played against Nottingham Forest. Milinkovic versus Gusto is what it was. And Milinkovic is a much taller player than Gusto, but he was marking him on the post. We had Ethan Pinnock versus Diogo Dalot. And Dalot's defending was horrible, but that is just a matchup that doesn't make sense in general, and something I'm quite frustrated by, because we know what you're going to get from Brentford. They're going to try and hit you in transition. They are going to try and be very, very strong in set pieces. The way that Man United set up is as they almost always do, with this 4-4-2 shape out of position, which does become a high 4-2-4 press. And we did see that at times with Manchester United. And I'll be honest with you, in that first half, the one positive that you can take from that as a United fan was that it looked like Brentford could be got at. They were making very, very risky passes in the first phase. And the intensity in the press from United was okay. But as always, we see when that press happens, let's say a pass comes here and this person has jumped, or one of the defenders has jumped, and there's a spare man. When you find that spare man, there's an overload in attack, and that was what was found as well. Another big thing that was utilised by Brentford was Mbeumo coming into this space here, where he was picking up the ball very, very well. And Christian Norgard as well was picking up into this space here. And what that meant is that behind the double pivot of Eriksen and Casemiro, there was a lot of space. That Brentford had the ball in. They didn't create enough threatening chances for me, but they could have hurt Man United a lot more with utilising their best players in these areas in which they were in at the time. But like I said, in that first half, United fans could maybe only positive you could take from that is obviously it was careless in possession. But press felt like at any moment United could win the ball high up the pitch and create chances. As I mentioned, Garnacho was huffing and puffing on the left-hand side, was trying to take his play on, had probably the best amount of chances in that first half. In the second half, credit must be given to Manchester United. They did come out a bit better, and their intensity and their idea in the press was better. So they were waiting a little bit. And I mentioned this in the previous video I made with Aston Villa, where when United make one of the wingers a bit more narrow here, it gives an extra cover and extra body in midfield. And Rashford, who arguably was man of the match for Manchester United, was doing a lot of good work off the ball, because was tucking into this area here, and United were doing a much better job of shadowing passes and covering passes, and not allowing Brentford to break the lines as easily as they did in the first half. It does link back to the sustainability issue. Another player performance I want to talk about, Rasmus Højlund, for me had his best performance in the Manchester United shirt. He was really strong, was holding the ball up really, really well. I think it's almost been an instruction for sure, where he's been told directly, simplify your play. Don't over-exert yourself with the defenders, and keep it simple in possession. Because he kept finding these lovely passes into Bruno Fernandes, who, as we all know, is going to try and find that pass in behind almost immediately. But to give credit to Bruno as well, and to mention his performance, I felt at times in that first half he was reminding me of 22-23 Bruno, where he was picking up the ball in deeper areas and making it tick. But as we know with Bruno Fernandes, he's not going to spend a lot of time keeping the ball. He's going to want to try and create a chance with pace as well. Other than that, I feel like the back line, Matthias de Ligt at points looked like a warrior coming out of a UFC fight, because he had blood coming down of his head as he wasn't bandaged up properly, and that was actually the reason why Brentford had a spare man on their set piece and ended up getting the goal from Ethan Pinnock. So potentially de Ligt would have been on Pinnock, and we don't know how that would have worked out. But I said to you guys that a question would be answered at the beginning, and it's about whether it's sustainable or not. This idea of Ten Hag, and I've said this on the channel before, it seems like the necessity for it to work requires high level players in technical ability, and high levels of physical ability in his players as well. And is it fair to say United don't have those profiles right now? Yeah, United don't have a fully top technical and physical team. We don't have that as of right now. But will there be good moments and good halves like we saw? Yeah, because I saw it at Selhurst Park in that first half. I saw it in the second half here at home to Brentford. And after about 75 minutes, it felt as though Brentford had completely given up, because United had their way with most of the passes they were going for and most of the chances that they had created. The ball from Rashford to Garnacho for United's goal was unreal. The flick from Bruno to Højlund was sensational for Højlund to chip it over the goalkeeper. So there are some positives to take from United, because United before this game were the lowest scoring team in the Premier League, which is a joke. Manchester United at no point should ever be in conversations for being one of the lowest scoring teams in the Premier League. That can't happen. That was the case before this game. United scoring 2 goals. Well, they scored 5 goals before this game, and all 3 out of the 5 came against Southampton in one game. So that was damning stats. So United scored. That was something they can take credit for. They can create chances. They were much better in the second half off the ball. Casemiro better in the second half. I'll be fair in my analysis of himself. But in general, Manchester United have to improve on their sustainability. You have to be able to see a consistent plan from minute 1 to minute 90. Will that be found under Erik Ten Hag? It's time will have to tell. But guys, let me know what you guys think straight away off the bat in the comments down below. What you thought of Manchester United's performance in that game against Brentford. Is it possible to sustain this with Manchester United? Do Man United need to already be looking in their future for a new manager? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. I do love checking them out and interacting with you guys. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, follow up all the socials, and I'll catch you guys next time.